Hi, this is my take on Sonic the Hedgehog Green Hill Zone Act 1, created as a toy box in Disney Infinity. I set up a side-scrolling camera and a trigger, so when you step on this trigger it goes into side-scrolling mode. The problem I had is no matter what direction I was facing with Dash, as soon as I hit the Dash superpower, he dashed towards the back of the screen. So since it's a narrow path, he's always going to fall off the back. Since the power isn't going to work using the dash, I'm going to show you the rest of the level using the hoverboard. Now you can see there are a few minor changes to the layout. The quarter ramps wouldn't really work because no matter what you do, if you're running straight at the quarter ramp, you'll just run into it. You won't be able to actually jump the ramp. So I used a small ramp to represent that. Also, the scale on Disney Infinity, I used the smallest possible block to represent one block on a JPEG that I had of the entire level. There are some issues because the scale does require some of them to be about a block and a half, and I couldn't do that. So in places where it called for something to be a block and a half wide, I just went with a block. So there are a couple of issues with scale. There are also some things that I had to change because objects were not available. Now I'm going to show you the level again from behind Dash. And one thing, I mentioned there were some issues with scale. There are also issues with the height scale. If you can see, Dash has to double jump to get up to just the smallest ledge, and that is literally the smallest ledge I can make in Disney Infinity. So now another issue is objects are not available. I didn't have any springs to make like a trampoline, so I used the booby trap from Monsters University. So also I was able to add checkpoints. So right up here, this is where the first checkpoint in the game is. I added trigger volumes and linked those to the checkpoint. So whenever you cross those trigger volumes, it will set the check mark. So if I were to fall off here, I would not have to do it again. Tunnels were also something that was not available. So instead of tunnels, I used these grind rails. So you can grind down in a loop and jump off at the bottom at the second checkpoint and then hit the next grind loop. After this, it's pretty much a straight shot to the end. And I'm going to run into this wall here. Oops. And the other thing I'm trying to work out is these spike beds right here. I'm trying to figure out a way to have them expanded by default, so instead of being flat, they'll actually be sticking up. But we're almost approaching the end of the level, and then when we get to the end, I'm going to go behind the scenes and kind of show you how I avoided falling off the back. Since it's supposed to be a side-scrolling level, we wanted to be able to keep going on the side scroll without having to worry about falling off the level. I can't do anything about the front, but I can do something about the back by having the background of the level be fully explorable. So I created a lot of area behind the very narrow path that the player can explore and have all kinds of fun with. I still have some tasks to add stuff back here, maybe a few challenges or something, but you can see it's a very wide open area that you can explore. I also wanted to make it so that the background was another way that you can get back to the main path. So as you can see here, I set up a rock climbing wall with wall jumps, and then there are lots of narrow cliff edges leading up to another area, and you'll see some other jutting cliffs coming up, and you'll be able to take those jutting cliffs all the way back up to one specific area in the path. So I've got these small jumps, and you'll see this rope over here where you'll jump over and you'll climb up that rope, and you will see that you are now back on the highest level of the game. So you'll look to the right, you'll see where the loop-de-loo is, and then we'll turn around and we'll go back over this way, and you'll be able to see where I changed the falling platforms for the flipping platforms. and this takes you back to the third waterfall area. There's a lot of variety in the elevation, so I tried to add different cliff types and climbing blocks and corners so that you'd be able to climb back up and not really experience the same types of cliffs very often. I did add under the tallest cliff, I added a little hidden area where if you go back here, it will generate a glow urchin so that you can throw it at things and blow stuff up and make everything blow up. But other than that, the level is fairly sparse. You see here I did use the Dragon's Gate, so you might see the fire-breathing dragon from time to time shooting fireballs at you. But the level is fairly sparse. I don't have a lot of decoration going on, but I may add more challenges to the level here after I do this video. That's pretty much it for the level. I'm going to walk back to the beginning and show you that I actually had 3 triggers set up at the start. One is for the side scroll, which I already showed you. The second one was going to be for running behind the character, which in hindsight you don't actually need because that's what happens by default. And the third was going to be for a top-down view, so you use the bird's eye camera for that.